Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tackling some of the absolute biggest challenges in biology. We're going to start with the massive macro mysteries of life and then zoom all the way down to solving your trickiest lab and exam problems. Whether you're fascinated by how scientists are hacking human longevity or you just really need to nail your next molecular genetics test, you're in the exact right place. We are going to map out the architecture of biological reality, step by step.
Right, let's jump straight in. How do you solve a massive problem like human aging or, build a cell entirely from scratch? For decades, biology was pretty much strictly an observational science. But today, it's wild. We're literally printing living cells from digital code and predicting incredibly complex biological structures using artificial intelligence. The scale of the problems we can now solve is completely unprecedented. Let's look at one of the biggest breakthroughs in recent history.
Think about the 50-year-old mystery of protein folding. For half a century, science was totally stumped by how a one-dimensional chain of amino acids folds into a functional 3D shape. Discovering just one structure used to take years of painful lab work. But get this, DeepMind's AI AlphaFold 2 actually solved it. In just seconds, it accurately predicted the 3D structures of virtually every known protein across all species on Earth. That is 200 million proteins. It's a massive leap that accelerates drug discovery by a factor of 1,000.
Then there's the monumental problem of aging. Why can't human cells just keep dividing forever? Well, the answer lies in a biological ceiling called the Hayflick limit, which was discovered way back in 1961. This limit restricts normal human somatic cells to a maximum of 50 to 60 divisions before they permanently halt. It's essentially a fundamental clock built right into our DNA.
And here is exactly what happens when that clock runs out. The molecular mechanism driving the Hayflick limit is our telomeres, those protective caps at the ends of our chromosomes. With every single cell division, our telomeres shorten, kind of like a burning fuse. When they get too short, it triggers what's called cellular senescence. The cell becomes what scientists call a zombie cell. It stops dividing, but it doesn't die. Instead, it just sits there, completely metabolically active, releasing an aging, toxic cloud of inflammatory cytokines that just poisons the surrounding healthy tissue.
So how do we actually solve the zombie cell problem? Well, the biological solution currently being researched heavily in longevity science involves senolytics. These are really advanced drugs, like dasatinib and quercetin, that are designed to act as molecular assassins. They selectively hunt down and clear out these toxic senescent cells. By flushing out those zombie cells, the ultimate goal is to stop that inflammatory spread and significantly extend our healthy human lifespan.
Section 1. High-tech solutions, building and targeting.
Scientists aren't just fixing old cells these days, they're literally building brand new ones. When it comes to the ultimate challenge of building life from scratch, J. Craig Venter's team actually solved the synthesis problem. In 2010, they synthesized a complete bacterial genome from computer files to create the first synthetic living cell. But they didn't stop there. By 2016, they evolved this into a minimalist artificial cell, stripping the genome down to just 473 essential genes. They found the absolute bare minimum genetic code required to maintain life. That completely opens the door to engineering custom cells that could produce biofuels or even targeted pharmaceuticals.
But speaking of targeted pharmaceuticals, we still have to solve the problem of delivery. How do you get a genetic payload exactly where it needs to go without wrecking the healthy tissues around it? The answer is nanomedicine. By utilizing 100 nanometer lipid nanoparticles that are decorated with specific targeting antibodies, we can deliver treatments, like mRNA, directly into something like a cancer cell. And the best part? It has virtually zero toxic side effects to the healthy tissue right next door.
Section 2. Essential laboratory tools and safety.
Now, before you can cure aging or build synthetic genomes, you have to know how to navigate the lab safely. Before you can solve anything at the bench, you have to survive it. And that means strictly adhering to these 4 rigorous biosafety levels. If you're working with standard, non-pathogenic agents, you're at BSL 1, just wearing basic lab coats and gloves. But as the danger scales up to serious airborne pathogens, you enter BSL 3, which requires negative pressure filtration. And if you are dealing with high-risk, lethal viruses with no known cure, that's BSL 4 territory. That demands completely isolated facilities and positive pressure, full-body spacesuits.
All right, so you're safely suited up. Now what? You need the right tools. To isolate specific cellular components, you have to master differential centrifugation. By using the laws of physics and increasing rotational speeds, you can systematically separate out a mixed cellular soup. A low speed of just 1,000 times gravity will drop the heavy, dense nuclei right to the bottom. Then, you take the leftover liquid, spin it at 20,000 Gs, and you'll pellet out the mitochondria. Crank it all the way up to 100,000 Gs, and you can isolate the tiny ribosomes. It's like sorting a giant puzzle by weight.
Section 3. Solving biology exam problems. So how does all this macro-level biology help you? Well, understanding these tools directly empowers you to solve actual, high-yield mathematical exam problems. This laboratory theory is exactly what you get tested on. Let's tackle a beginner exam puzzle that trips up a surprising number of students. The question asks to identify which of these crucial cellular engines operates with only a single membrane barrier: the nucleus, mitochondria, chloroplast, or lysosome. Take a second to lock in your answer.
If you guessed D, the lysosome, you nailed it. This comparison perfectly maps out the single versus double membrane organelle landscape for your exams. Think back to evolutionary biology, right? The nucleus, mitochondria, and chloroplasts all have double membranes, largely tied to their complex evolutionary history and endosymbiotic origins. Meanwhile, your lysosomes, peroxisomes, and the ER, they make do with just a single membrane boundary.
Okay, let's kick things up a notch with an intermediate challenge. Let's solve a classic molecular genetics problem using the math behind Chargaff's rules. If a double-stranded DNA sample contains 24% adenine, what is the percentage of cytosine? At first glance, this looks like a math problem, but it's actually a logic puzzle based on how DNA bases pair together.
It's basically molecular detective work. Look, Chargaff's rules tell us that adenine always pairs with thymine, right? So if adenine is 24%, thymine has to be 24% too. Together, they make up 48% of the DNA. That leaves 52% for the remaining guanine and cytosine bases. Since those two pair equally, we just divide that 52% right in half, deducing that the cytosine concentration absolutely must be exactly 26%. Boom, puzzle solved.
All right, time for a really advanced, high-stakes cell cycle calculation. This one trips up so many people. You have a diploid organism with 16 chromosomes. The exam asks, how many total DNA molecules, meaning chromatids, and centromeres are present during anaphase 1 of meiosis? To solve this, you have to mentally visualize exactly what is pulling apart and what is staying together. The real trick here is realizing that while the DNA duplicated into 32 chromatids back during the S phase of the cell cycle, those sister chromatid pairs remain fiercely attached at their centromeres during anaphase 1. The homologous pairs separate, yes, but the sister chromatids do not. Therefore, you still have 16 centromeres holding things together, but you are carrying 32 distinct chromatids.
Section 4. Memory mnemonics for exam success.
To make absolutely sure these concepts stick when you're under pressure, let's rapid-fire some study hacks. Memorization doesn't have to be brute force, it just requires a smart system. These mnemonics are the foundational logic hacks you need to breeze through competitive biology questions. CHNOPS gives you the 6 essential elements of life. PMAT easily lines up the stages of mitosis: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Keep forgetting your DNA bases? Pure as Gold reminds you that purines are adenine and guanine, while Cut the Pie tells you cytosine, uracil, and thymine are your pyrimidines. Oh, and my personal favorite? Kinesin kicks out, dynin drags in for remembering the directional movement of motoproteins on the cytoskeleton.
Section 5. Future Biology Careers. So where do you take all this problem-solving ability, all these lab techniques and exam hacks in the real world? Well, you could literally take your skills off-world as an astrobiologist or space biologist. Imagine studying how microgravity fundamentally alters cytoskeleton dynamics, or how cosmic radiation impacts gene expression up there on the International Space Station, or eventually on future lunar and Martian bases. Or, if you'd rather solve mysteries here on Earth, you could focus on longevity and regenerative medicine. Imagine utilizing a patient's own single-cell genomic atlas to design custom mRNA therapies, bioprinting personalized organs, and actually managing treatments that could effectively eliminate age-related diseases entirely. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. From the intricate math of a single DNA strand to the AI algorithms mapping millions of proteins in mere seconds, you now have the tools to understand and manipulate life at its most fundamental level. The frontier is totally wide open. So what cellular problem are you going to solve next? Stay curious and keep discovering.